Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric and a continuing series, the Unported playlist, where I take a look at some of my favorite unported arcade games of all time. And today we're looking at Nightmare in the Dark. Now, granted, it's a Neo Geo game, but I consider all the Neo Geo unported because home console, arcade, it is the same hardware. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down there as well. But I absolutely love Nightmare in the Dark. It is basically a combination between Bubble Bobble and Parasol Stars, and those are two of my favorite arcade games of all time. So how could Nightmare in the Dark, if they're combining the two concepts, not be something I absolutely love? It's colorful, it's fun to play, the music is great, the graphics are great. Nothing about this game can I complain about other than the fact that I'm playing it on AES mode and you only get 4 credits until you die. If you want to see the end of the game, it's going to be a lot easier to play it on MVS mode, where you can just keep hitting the credit button and popping more credits in. But if you've played Bubble Bobble, if you played Parasol Stars, you're going to instantaneously understand how this game works. Throw your fire at the monsters, get them into a fireball, and push that fireball to try to take out as many other monsters on the screen at once. It's one of those things, the concept is so simple that anyone can pick up and play. When you actually start learning the levels and figuring out what enemy is the best to kill, to make sure that you chain that combo as high as possible, there actually becomes a ton of strategic gameplay in this game. Because if you're able to get one of these enemies at the top and pop that fireball all the way down to the bottom, you can end up taking out an entire screen with one shot. And the more enemies you kill in a combo, the better power-ups and the better little secrets you find, making this game pure memorization. You can pick it up and play immediately, but if you actually spend the time to learn each individual level and figure out what the best strategy is, this game becomes even more rewarding. And I love that about these type of arcade games. If I just want to mindlessly play and enjoy myself, I 100% can. But if I want to really spend time and learn everything, that's an option too. And it's always fun when an arcade game allows you to play it in more than one way, because I'm sure there's some people out there that are absolutely insanely good at Nightmare in the Dark, Bubble Bobble, Parasol Stars, things like that. But it can also be played by casual players and they have as much fun. But I can't say enough good things about the overall art style and character design. I love how cartoony these skeletons and these stone golems are. The animations are great, the colors are great, there's tons of frames in their movement. It just looks like a lot of fun, and that's because it is a lot of fun. And there's just so many characters on screen at once, because obviously the Neo Geo was great at handling graphics, and Nightmare in the Dark is no different. And you'll see there I was able to chain enough hits in a row up that I got a fire up. And there's definitely different power ups. There's a range up, there's a fire up, there's a movement up that'll allow you to go quicker. But one of my favorite parts about this game is the boss battles. Every 5 stages, you're going to get another boss. And I think that's a really nice increment. If it's every 10 stages, you start getting a little bit bored and want to see that next boss character. But every 5 is a really smart design decision, and I'm 100% behind that. You have to use the characters that the boss throws out to damage him. You can't directly hit him yourself with the fire, and I like that mechanic as well. You'll see that it does get a little bit crowded, and you can definitely take a lot of hits. So you want to make sure that you stay far enough away from the bosses until you learn their attack pattern, that you're going to be a little bit more safe. But that's the great thing about the bosses, is that all of them are pattern based, so once you get to understand what it is they're trying to do to you, you really can avoid it. And the minute you kill them, they just shoot out all sorts of power-ups, including, probably stolen from Bonk, the big giant mutton joints, and I love that. Even the screen transitions with these spats here and all of that jazz music going on is great. And the music in this game is absolutely outstanding, so listen to it for like 45 seconds and I'll come back and tell you more why, if you've never played this game, you 100% should, especially during the Halloween season. But enjoy! Those are some really jazzy ghosts, and I know that it doesn't really fit so much jazz in a horror game, even if it's a comedy horror game, but I just love the soundtrack. It fits the game absolutely perfectly. And now we have these skeleton turkeys. There's just so much creativity going on in this game that you can't help but have fun. And I would definitely say it's one of the lesser known games on the Neo Geo, but that doesn't mean it isn't good. That means it's hidden gem status, and if you've never played it before, you 100% should. But you'll see as we get later into the game, things are becoming much more difficult. We have a lot of different enemies moving around, and they all have different movement patterns that you need to learn and get used to, because what you don't want to do is get yourself stuck in a corner. You'll see there we were able to take out some of those enemies that were rushing us, and we get a little bit more freedom. Had we been able to navigate to the top and beat that stone golem though, we could have shot a fireball all the way down to the bottom of the stage, wiping out the entire screen all at once. And that's where the real intricacies of Nightmare in the Dark come in. Depending on how you play, you can make the game easier or much harder on yourself. But coming up to another boss, I just love the Neo Geo's graphics. I always have. There's not a game that I think looks absolutely terrible on the system. Most of them are some of my favorite looking arcade games of all time. But the sprite for this boss is huge, and the animation on him is great. It just looks and sounds and plays amazing, and there's so much more into this game that I haven't even shown you guys yet. I'm only showing you through stage 3, and that's when I run out of credits and can't continue. But if you do decide to play this game, definitely play it in MVS mode so you can put more credits in and see more of the game. You'll see there, the only unfortunate thing is you can't go above 3 lives, so if you collect that meat, you're not going to get any more life for your character. But moving on again, we have another awesome looking stage, these little sunbursts coming through the treetops, all of this wood, it looks like an old mine shaft. We have these ghosts here too, shooting projectiles. It's going to get more and more difficult as you go on, because most of the enemies so far have not shot projectiles at us, but now that's something that we need to worry about as we move forward. This game has a great progression. It starts giving you new things to do and new things to see right when you feel like you've seen everything the game has to offer, because now, just like Parasol Stars or Bubble Bobble, we have an opening in the bottom of the screen, and we can use that to our advantage to shoot those fireballs up and down to try to hit enemies that may be further above us. And like I said, if you play this game a lot, you're going to start getting very good at it very quickly, because you're going to start recognizing the best way to navigate through each individual stage. But I just love the fact that you can either pick up and play this game for 30 minutes, say you've played it and experienced it and never come back, or you could spend absolute months trying to learn every intricacy of every level and seeing how far you could go on 1 credit. It's got a lot of options for pretty much anybody who wants to play it, and I always love that in arcade games. But if you loved Bubble Bobble, if you love Parasol Stars, you're going to love Nightmare in the Dark too. I enjoy this game as much as those absolute classics. The soundtrack's great, the graphics are great, the gameplay is great, the pick up and playness of it is awesome, and the ability to really hone down into each individual level and try to get really good at the game is fun too. But short of that, if you have any questions or comments, so leave them down below. I'm curious, have you ever played Nightmare in the Dark? Have you heard of it before? Because it's not a super niche game, but it's not one that gets mentioned all the time in the best of Neo Geo lists. Short of that, I will be back next Sunday with another horror arcade game for Unported playlist, and I'll have videos throughout the week as well, and Tuesday is going to be horror themed as well. Short of that, thanks so much for watching, guys. Do me a huge favor, down below, hit like, subscribe, definitely helps us out, and I will see you next Sunday with our next Halloween arcade game. I have died. Bye bye.